Where do you want to go in 2025?
Mm. Where do I want to go in 2025? Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I think with the Daily Leader in particular, I am excited for this to grow. And I talked about this in season one in terms of you and I continuing to figure out our voice, and I think continuing to bring in guests that we're excited about. That's one of my favorite things is just interviewing people. We only have, I think, 3 months to hit our goal of having Andrew Huberman on the show. So we really got to get to work on that. Yeah. I know, I know. We're behind. We're behind. Um, so that's one place I want to go. If we're talking the Daily Leader, I think we're opening up and toying with the idea of um, some different segments, some different spin-offs of the Daily Leader. I'm particularly interested in sports. I love sports. I love leadership in sports. Talking about that, yeah, I know, which is something you know so much about. But that's
I
where I want to
feel
go.
like I would get all of my sports news from your Daily Leader Sports podcast.
Wow.
I
Okay.
feel like that's where I would go to learn about what's happening in the wacky world of sports.
You would. You and the five other people out there that would trust me for their sports wisdom and knowledge on all things. But
I feel like you could bring Janelle in on the basketball side of things, at
yeah.
least the basketball side, maybe more.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, she would crush it. But look, 2025, I think for me, and this will go to the Daily Leader and personally, it's a year of fun, man. It's a year of if you're going to do it, and if it's going to be hard, we might as well have fun at the same time. My three key guiding kind of principles, ideas for my life have been one, love people well, two, work hard, and three, have fun. And they're kind of inseparable for me. That's the way that
Clear.
I try and conduct myself. But that's kind of my overarching ideas, vision, and it gets broken out from there in terms of, oh, great, hey, the coaching business is up and running, going, podcast same way, but it is how do we continue to instill fun? Like life is short, man. Life, my mother passed away in 2024. That was a challenge. I had babies, two of them. I had twins, in
At the same
2024.
time,
Yeah, at the same time, not two sets of twins. Just to
it
clarify,
boggles the mind.
it does, it does. But you realize, like, hey, you get to the end of the year, and you're like, man, they're almost one.
Hmm.
And even in those seasons that it's really hard, and maybe especially in those, I think we just need to connect with like our inner child and play and have fun. So, yeah, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go this year, Brad?
Yeah, good
2025,
question.
man.
I've been, I typically will pick a word for the year and use that as kind of a driving theme. And
Mm-hmm.
then within that word, I'll create a handful of goals that are important for me personally. Um, fitness, I feel like fitness has been one of those areas of like frustration and challenge. It's like the more that I work out, the more podcasts I listen to, the more help that I get. I'm always making incremental progress, but never the kind of progress that I want to make. Although I will say, I just maxed out my bench and my squat. The heaviest I've ever, I'm not going to say my numbers because I don't want you to shame me on the
Do it,
podcast, on the
Brad.
internet, in front of
Share your
everyone.
numbers, Brad.
All that matters is that I'm growing bigger, stronger muscles. Okay, Taylor, even though they're not as big and strong as yours.
I thought you were
All right.
just going to say all that matters is you're growing. And I was like, well, it depends on your definition of success there, but that's great. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So bigger, stronger, max
And
bench, back squat. Got it. What
but
else?
here's what's interesting. That those I broke, my PRs on the heels of doing the push-up challenge for
Mm,
90 days,
hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Which is pretty fascinating to me because I thought that I would get a lot weaker, going from lifting heavy weight to doing more body weight and some weighted vest stuff. But I think like just mixing it up was exactly what I needed to kind of launch myself past that ceiling, right?
Mm,
And so I think that fitness is just a great example for some of the other areas of our life that we're trying to grow in, whether it's spiritually, right? Which is very important to me that I can have some sense of spiritual progression, right? Which is kind of fuzzy at best, but I've got some ideas around how I can improve that part of my life, my marriage and being a father. I've got some ideas around how I can improve and mature, right, as a husband and father. And then definitely business, is the easy one for me. Like I'm very honest about my workaholism. Like, I've got a serious problem with really being addicted to work and not knowing how or when, and also not wanting to turn the productive parts of my personality and the productive functions off. Um, like, if I didn't have a wife or kids, I would not stop working, and I would be totally content to just feel the pleasure of work all the time. And it's really unhealthy, right? To live too deeply into that for too long. And so I think that there's, year two of my company, and I need to start to stabilize some things. And I need to start to put some parameters around, what I do and what I don't do, how I do it in some new ways in order to kind of uh, meet some other demands in my life, right? Relational demands and personal demands that are more important than just what my company needs. So that's me.